All right, so I've tried recording this about 3 times now. Let's see if we can get through it this time without the computer cutting out. So today is 3.2, two-player divider chooser method, demo food activity divider chooser with one student. We're not going to do that right now. This is your notes. You're going to turn this in. The requirements, you need to fill this in. I was filling it in as you go, but I think that the function of me writing was causing this to cut out. So your requirements are 2 players and continuous goods. The divider chooser method, divide, choose. You cut, I choose. Okay, the divider divides goods into 2 fair shares. Divider's value perspective, meaning the divider, whoever's dividing this out of the 2 people, the divider is going to cut it into 2 fair shares based on what they find to be fair. The divider will always view the 2 shares that they cut as 50% based on their value. The chooser picks the share he or she believes to be fair or better and leaves the other one for the divider because they think it's 50% anyway. Both players therefore receive what they want or believe to be a fair share of the booty or the goods. So is it better to be a chooser or a divider? And explain. Chooser is always better. And the chooser is always better because they're going to get 50% or more. Divider always gets exactly 50%. For example, 1, Scotty and Jordan order a cake to celebrate their birthdays. Angel is half food and the other half is red velvet. Scotty values Angel food and red velvet exactly the same, while Jordan hates Angel food cake, i.e. does not value it at all, okay, and loves red velvet. Scotty divides the cake as follows: 60 degrees of Angel food and 120 degrees of red velvet on 1/2 of the cake. So for Scotty's value, it's 1/2 and 1/2. For Jordan's, it's 1 and 0. For the physical fractions, they're the same. Red velvet out of 180, Angel food out of 180, same thing for both. Now, which side will Jordan choose? Because we know Scotty's cut it, Jordan's the chooser. Now, for the slice that was originally cut, he values it 100% times the 2/3 that he cut. Now, you might be wondering, where's the 2/3? 120 divided by 180 reduces down to 2/3. Then 0% or 0 value for the Angel food cake times 1/3 equals 2/3. So he's going to want that piece of red velvet cake because it's greater than the 2/3, or excuse me, half that we want. The second piece, or the other piece over here off to the side, that's going to be 1/3 times 1, 2/3 times 0, so 1/3. So he does not value that 50%. So which piece does he want? The one that was cut originally, the 120 and the 60. It makes sense that they're going to want more of the red velvet cake. Let's take a look at example 2 here. It says Micah and Miles are trying to split a cookie that is half chocolate chip and half sugar. Micah likes chocolate chip 4 times as much as sugar. Miles likes chocolate chip 3 times as much as sugar. So what I've been doing is, if this is 4 and this is 1, that's what I've been putting there. If this is 3 and 1, when I create my table, then 3 plus 1 is 4. The bottom, 4 plus 1 is 5. One piece was 72 degrees of cookie cutter or chocolate chip and 62 of strawberry or sugar. Sorry, getting my examples mixed up. Which player, Micah or Miles, divided the cake? When we decide who divided the cake, it's got to be who values either piece as 50%. So Micah, 4/5 times 72 for the chocolate chip out of 180, plus 1/5 times 162 out of 180. If you do the math there, it equals 0.5. Think about where those numbers come from. Back here originally. So Micah values that piece as 0.5. That's good. That means he probably cut this piece of cake. Miles, 3/4 times 72 out of 180, right? Because that's the piece, plus 1/4 times 162 out of 180, values that piece that was cut as 0.52. 0.525. So Micah cut it. Micah divided it. Miles would choose that piece, that one piece that was cut. Okay, Micah would choose this piece. Miles would choose that piece. Micah is the one that cut it. So he's going to get the smaller piece, but he values it more. All right, so coming up here, pause it if you need it. Let me erase. And let me move down. So if you are the divider, how are you going to cut that object? So how am I going to determine how I want to cut that object into 2 fair shares? So example 3 kind of helps us out here. Example 3, an ice cream cake is a half chocolate and a half strawberry. If you like it 3 times as much as chocolate is 3 times as much as strawberry, where can you get to cut the ice cream cake to create 2 pieces that are of equal value to you? So our goal is to create 2 pieces worth 1/2 or 50%. We currently have 2 halves that are worth 3/4 and 1/4. So 3/4, 1/4. Because you value chocolate 3 times as much as strawberry. So 3, 1, denominator 4, 3 over 4, 1 over 4. Physical fraction 1, C over 180, S over 180. So what you want to do is you want to cut into the half or section with more value to you to create 2 pieces by making a proportion. So what you want, and what you want it from where? You want 25%. Why do I want 25%? Because you know that you value it at 75%. So you want 25%. Where are you going to get it from? The 75% that we had, right? We valued chocolate at 75%. That proportion is going to be 25 over 75. And that's always the want from where. We want to get an extra 25%. Where am I going to get it from? From the 75% that I had. And then that's going to be equal to the portion that you're cutting into. So X over 180. So a foot long sub, and we could figure out what that is, 0.75 X equals whatever 25% of 180 is, and then divide it, and that's going to give you the percentage that you need to cut into the chocolate to get there. So a foot long sub from Subway is 6 inches veggie, 6 inches Italian. Would a vegetarian cut into veggie, or would they cut into Italian to create the 2 fair shares? Why? Well, if the vegetarian is going to say, all the veggie is what I want. I don't want any of the Italian because I'm a vegetarian. I can't eat meat. So we're going to have to cut into the vegetarian. The way that we could set that up, we want 50% of it from the vegetarian. So that's where we're going to cut from. X over 6 inches, because that's where we're cutting it from. Would a carnivore cut from veggie or Italian? Assuming that they don't want any of the vegetables. So veggie, they value at 0. Italian, they value at 1. So they're going to say, we're cutting into the Italian portion because that's where we want it. So we're cutting from the piece that has more value in our opinion. So suppose you liked Italian twice as much as veggie. Would you cut the veggie or the Italian to create 2 fair shares of the sandwich, and why? The veggie, we value at 1, Italian at 2. So veggie's 1/3, Italian's 2/3. So we value Italian more. We're cutting into Italian. If we create the proportion, we won't, and I don't know exactly where all this came from. I think this is messed up in my formatting. That's fine. What we want is, since we have 2/3, that means that we are at 16% over the 2/3. So that 2/3 should not be there. So we want 16 out of the 66% that we have. We want to get 16% out of it from the X over 16. So those 2/3 should not be there. They should be stricken from the record. Okay, that was quick. That's the 3rd time I've went through doing it. Hopefully this one's